Right, this is going to be a rant. Well, kind of. It's nothing to do with my usual content. Sorry about that. So, I've been off work following a hernia operation. Haven't been able to get out and do the stuff I'd like to be doing. No walking, no climbing, no mountain biking. Very little buggering about in the workshop. Been pretty much confined to watching rubbish on YouTube. And on YouTube, one of my guilty pleasures is flat earthers. Can't get enough of them, stupid idiots. Watching them flail about intellectually is like watching a car crash or going to a public hanging. You've got no guilt pangs about it afterwards. It's great. Now, within the flat earth community, there's two types of people. It's the first group who really do actually believe the earth is flat. They're either flat out mentally impaired or they're just so bought into the tin hat mindset that they've convinced themselves it's true. They're pretty harmless and they're kind of endearing in their own way. Second group, they're profiting from the first lot. They know what they're saying is wholly untrue, but saying it makes them really good advertising money on social media, regardless of what they might say otherwise about that. I'm not going to call any of them out in particular, it's not what it's about, but if you've seen any flat earth content out there, it's pretty obvious who's who. Without that second group, the flat earth phenomena would die. They're its driving force, but whilst what they're doing is ethically questionable, profiting as they do from a bunch of, not to put too fine a point on it, idiots, they don't have any underlying message. There's no agenda, it's all about the money. And to be fair, most of the debunking side of flat earth content is all about money as well. Here's an ad for some crappy earbuds. Please hit me up with cash on Patreon. They don't have to lie to do it, so there's that. Well, except about the earbuds and the usefulness of paid proxy services, but I digress. Of course, flurfism is not the only conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories have been around as long as there have been other people to blame the ills of the world on. Recently, we've seen a pretty big uptick in online conspiracy rubbish, and a lot of money has been spent pushing it. Because while flat earthism and mud flood and all the other twaddle are pretty innocent, the rest really isn't. There's religious and race-based conspiracies that go back millennia, and they're coming up front and centre now. As political groups pushing conspiracy thinking to discredit their opponents, or even the democratic process itself. There's a whole lot of hate-based conspiracies about gender and identity politics. There's big business interests pushing conspiracies, particularly with regard to climate change denial. It's a big, toxic, dangerous stew, and there's big money behind it. And it's no big surprise that the kind of people willing to buy into flat earth, willing to buy into other conspiracies, so it's kind of natural that some of the first group of flirts have brought some of that other madness into the discussion of their own volition. And of course, there's money up for grabs, so some of the second group started gently pushing some of that as well, at least some of the less hate-fueled parts of it, give them what they want and all that. But the rot is beginning to set in. There's been recent influx of a third group of people, and these are people with a big agenda to push. The most obvious ones are young earth creationists. They're kind of the radical right wing of American literalist Bible thumpers. You could call them Christians, but most of them are anything but that. They're pushing a hate-fueled, racist, homophobic, patriarchal, anti-science agenda, and they're pushing it hard. And while they can take their agenda and they can shove it right up their collective arseholes, and they can suck my cock while they're at it, they're not the worst. There's something far more sinister and frankly dangerous coming up from the cesspool. There is apparently a new flat earth documentary out there. There might be a few air quotes coming up, and you might have seen some clips from it. I have. I've been stuck at home with bugger all else to do. And from those clips, it's quite clear that the tone has changed. Changed quite radically, in fact. The main conceit of this documentary seems to be that there is additional land, perhaps additional continents, hiding in plain sight, just behind the ice wall of the Antarctic. Where we aren't allowed to go because of the Antarctic Treaty. So, this is actually a pretty neat theory, as it does away with the utterly untenable floating pancake in a snow dome image, and at the same time it starts to give us a reason as to why they would be hiding the truth of the flat earth from us. Yeah, admittedly it also kind of kicks the firmament theory right up the arse, along with an awful lot of what the main proponents have been prattling on about for years. Let that go. After all, science gets to do a do-over when there's no theory. Why don't the morons? With that do-over, of course, is the requirement to admit that what you've been claiming previously was not entirely correct. I'm not holding my breath waiting for that. Wouldn't suggest you do either. Anyway, all right, you say, new flat earth theory sounds just as stupid as the old flat earth theory. What's so sinister and dangerous about it? No, it's the subtext. And a couple of the clips, it's not even subtext, it's the text. And that subtext is that they are keeping us hungry while knowing that there's unlimited resources. They're keeping us cooped up while they know there's infinite land. They're trying to change our God-given way of life because of imaginary climate change. We could simply bugger off to the other side of the ice wall if it was really a problem. Yeah, it's all about control, it's all about power, and of course there's a few not very subtle hints about who the they might be, and some references to child abduction and sex abuse, and you get the idea. It's QAnon meets Flat Earth. It's weaponising the idiocy to serve the purposes of religious maniacs, white supremacists, and big business interests. People behind this are dangerous, very dangerous. They won't hesitate to provoke violence to meet their goals. The stuff they're pushing is bad for the human race as a whole, and it's particularly bad for the people they're pushing it at. It needs to stop. So, if you're in that group of people who are making money from Flat Earth, please walk away from this latest nonsense. It might look like a new hope, a new, more plausible theory, a new way to monetize the gullible, but that's not it. It's a hostile takeover. It's happening right in front of your eyes. I'd say that they're coming to take your cake, but frankly they don't care about your cake. They aren't coming to make money, they've got loads of it. They're coming to take your believers. I mean, obviously they'll take your believers' money as well, but that's incidental. What they want is mind share. They want Flat Earth to be the same as election denial and birtherism and climate change denial and Holocaust denial and 9/11 truthing and the New World Order. They want racism and anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and eugenics. They want transphobia and homophobia and misogyny. They want everybody othered who isn't othered. Sure, it's fascism. And there's money in fascism, but there won't be any of it left for you. And, well, for anybody who's still listening, who might actually believe in the Flat Earth, quick message for you. The Earth's a globe. Space is real. There's no hidden land. There's no ice wall. The Antarctic Treaty does exactly what its freely available text says it does. The sun is a star. It's up there. It's a very long way away, but it's a lot closer than the other stars. The moon is a satellite planet orbiting the Earth, reflecting the sun's light. It's not a light itself. There's zero evidence for the Earth being flat. When ships sail over the horizon, they disappear from the bottom up exactly because they are sailing over the horizon. Now you are being lied to, of course, but the people lying to you are the ones telling you the Earth is flat. As for child abuse, outside of family environment and care homes, most of it happens in churches, not pizza joints. Peace out.